Am I the butthole for reporting my son's doctor after she shared his medical information with my mother-in-law? My female 38, son 9 has a medical condition. We're struggling so much trying to do everything we can to help him deal and cope with his condition. It's been difficult enough without my mother-in-law getting involved in making decisions without talking to me and my husband first. She'd completely disregard our fears and concerns as parents and claim we don't know what's best for her grandson by trying to control doctor's appointments / arguing with doctors. Criticizing and telling them how to do their job / bringing medication that her friend doctor prescribed without even diagnosing my son. She'd get mad if we don't comply and do what she tells us. Her latest stunt was showing up at my son's appointment and making a scene, resulting in me and my husband going no contact and changing the clinic by having my son's medical file transformed to another clinic. My mother-in-law was removed from any emergency contact we had before, and we made it clear to the new doctor to not share our son's medical information. My mother-in-law kept trying to find out what clinic / which doctor our son goes to, and she tried to guilty tip my husband and also get the family to pressure us into letting her know. No one realized the negative effect she had on my son's health and progress, and the family kept calling me awful and resentful because she's just worried for her grandson. Last week, I found out that my mother-in-law was at the clinic and was speaking to my son's pediatrician about my son's condition. My husband told me his mom called and told him she was talking to the doctor discussing our son's condition. He told me he didn't want to speak to his mom, but she called to let him know that she has a right to take part in her grandson's care and that we shouldn't try to hide things from her since she eventually was able to find out. I was livid. I was so angry I went to talk to the doctor about the conversation she had with my mother-in-law and the fact that she disclosed medical information after being told several times that this would cause us plenty of issues because of my mother-in-law's behavior. Mother-in-law is already trying to get involved and I just couldn't take it. I reported the doctor and filled an HIPPA complaint. I was told to back off, but I couldn't take this massive lack of professionalism on the doctor's part and the fact that now I'm having to deal with my mother-in-law's attempts to control the situation. My mother-in-law spread the news about the doctor and the whole family was stunned, saying my bitterness jeopardized the doctor's career and that she only shared information with my son's grandmother, not some stranger. Also said that I'm not being focused on my son and choosing to start arguments instead. Basically made it look like it's my fault. I'm so tired and I can't take it anymore. My husband agrees that I shouldn't have filed a complaint, like he has no problem with his mother now showing up at the clinic and causing scenes. Information to add here: my son goes to a licensed medical doctor. Mother-in-law says she knows a doctor that happens to be a friend of hers, but I'm not sure if he even has a license or even work at the hospital or clinic. We were never told who he was nor even met him before. But that was before the fight we had with her. She no longer mentions him and is focused on getting directly involved with my son's care. NTA HIPAA laws are a big deal, and your situation is exactly the kind that they are there for. NTA bringing medication that her friend doctor prescribed without even diagnosing my son. I hope you also reported your mother's friend. This is never okay, but I'm just wondering if perhaps original post is not treating her child with medicine and instead going to holistic doctors? I just can't fathom why the mother-in-law would be this crazy about the medical treatment. Then there was mention of court intervention, which I know can be done if there's a lack of medical treatment that is endangering a child. It would affect my views if this were the case, but no one is mentioning it. If that's not the case, then mother-in-law is host completely out of line and original post needs a restraining order or something. Either way, it's not okay for anyone to ever violate HIPAA. Edit, Clarity edit again. Thank you for the upvotes, awards, and comments. I just want to make it clear that I am not trying to accuse the original post of anything. I only wanted to get this straight, and point it out to others, before I gave original post advice that could have the possibility, even if it's the slightest chance, of encouraging them to cause harm to a child through insufficient medical treatment. Yes, I kind of get this vibe too. Either mother-in-law is batcrap crazy, which of course is totally possible, or we are not getting the whole picture. Maybe mother-in-law is bringing holistic medicine. That's what I was thinking. Possibly. But I think it's so incredibly unlikely that a doctor would share this information with anyone other than the child's legal guardian that I think it's more likely to be the other way around. When I was 21, my mother was not on my medical information and I had gotten pregnant and was at the doctor because I was spotting. The doctor didn't seem to mind and said it was probably normal. I ended up miscarrying. My mom found out through that doctor. That's terrible, I'm so sorry. It does seem like doctors in the US are more likely to break the rules when it comes to younger women and pregnancy. When I hear about it happening, it's almost always in that sort of situation. Totally unacceptable. 100% agree. I'm a USMD, and even if someone brought a friend/family member with them, for sensitive information/questions, I'll usually ask/tell it to them after asking everyone else to step out of the room. I cannot imagine telling someone else, even a family member. I once had a mother livid with me because I refused to disclose the results of her daughter's pregnancy test and HIV screening, both negative. She's 18, on my insurance, and I have a right to know. No ma'am, you do not. So cringe. My mother-in-law used something along that line when my 23-year-old brother-in-law went to see a dentist. They tried to tell her no, he's an adult. She's like, well, good luck having this adult pay your fees. Man, I feel bad for my brother-in-law. Lol. Yes. I work at a university student doctor's office. So I hear that at least a couple times a week. They're on my insurance. What do you mean I can't talk to their doctor or make appointments on their behalf? I'm their mother. Their pediatrician at home lets me make appointments and access records. I always say, I understand your frustration, I really do. But they are over the age of 18 and therefore have a right to their privacy and to choose their medical care. You are choosing to have an adult on your insurance, and that's kind of you, but it doesn't legally entitle you to their information or to make appointments on their behalf. Then I sit quietly while they yell at me for 5 minutes before threatening my job and demanding to speak to my manager. Sigh. I know they're away from their baby and they're scared and they're just now realizing that they aren't in control, but it's exhausting. HIPAA is up to a certain amount of legal interpretation, which is frustrating because not every doc office treats it the same, but the one thing that is not open to interpretation is that no one other than the patient has a right to their protected health information. I was young enough that I should have reported the damn doctor, but I didn't. I am kind of glad I miscarried because, to be honest, I was not ready to have another child. I had my daughter at 17 and I am now 30, and I am so happy I only have one lol. Still, to have them break that HIPAA to tell my mom? It happens in small towns more than not. Someone in this equation is using herbs where medical diagnosis and medicine is needed. That's the impression I got from friend doctor giving the kid non-prescribed medicine. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It doesn't matter whether original post is batcrap crazy. The doctor broke confidentiality. There was no court order in place, nor was there any permissions to do so. And the doctor was told to not give out any information on Op's son, so doctor was aware of the situation, and still broke confidentiality. Reporting that doctor was absolutely correct. I seriously doubt that this doctor has never done that before. Pursue this as much as you can. She's a liability to her practice at this point. She's a liability for any patient as well. I'm just astonished by this. How many other people she's caused issues for from her verbal diarrhea? Yeah, ultimately that's the fundamental question here, and the only one we're really able to weigh in on. A doctor going behind parents' back after being explicitly told not to disclose this information seems like it's the exact thing you're supposed to report. If original post is up to something here, then Mill can try to deal with it through the courts. It has no real bearing here in terms of whether or not original post is a bad person for reporting the doctor for this. I just can't fathom why the mother-in-law would be this crazy about the medical treatment. Then there was mention of court intervention, which I know can be done if there's a lack of medical treatment that is endangering a child. It would affect my views if this were the case, but no one is mentioning it. My father believes that he is a medical professional and snuck behind my back to give my son ADHD medication, muscled his way into doctor's appointment, and tried to get my son taken from me because I did not follow his advice. He's a family counselor. He talked the school into giving my son said medication while at school and swore my 6-year-old to silence and threatened to send his father back to his country of origin. He even called ICE. My son does not have ADHD, and the medication actually made my 6-year-old suicidal. His teacher finally came to me to tell me what was going on. Grandparents can be bat crap crazy, trust me. The effed up part is this sub will always assume you're lying and that you played a bigger hand in the outcome. As if people need a reason to be crazy. NTA, that's a huge violation. Honestly, you should go no contact and look into a restraining order. Seriously. I'm done with all this pressure and exhaustion. She knows no boundaries and clearly thinks she's in some sort of a competition here. Restraining orders are a boundary everyone understands. They really aren't. You need to also talk to your husband. He needs to stop giving his mother any information. She has no right, nor any say in your son's care. If he refuses to stop telling her, then get into marriage counseling because he's still in the fog. Also, please report the doctor friend for prescribing medication. That's illegal and unethical. I work in the medical field in a very back-end capacity, with zero access to any patient records, and I have to complete HIPAA training every year. It's not something to be messed with, and the doctor jeopardized their own career by breaking it. If you want guidance on other actions you can take against the doctor, feel free to PM me. My work involves dealing with governing bodies and I'm happy to help. Also, sending care and healing vibes to you and your family. You need r/justnormal. And r/justnoso. Here are some articles you may find interesting, and for your husband, please check out user Melodiane post on the FU binder. Ask may want to look into legal options to get mother-in-law to back the F off. And grandparents' rights. But seriously, r/justnormal and r/justnoso, web link, Reddit link. It also literally doesn't matter that she the grandmother. HIPAA is a big deal because spreading sensitive info can seriously escalate stalking, abuse, and harassment. That's exactly what happened. You did the right thing. If the doctor was willing to give it to the grandmother despite being explicitly warned not to, they probably would have given out info for others too. That's seriously dangerous NTA. It seems your husband is not at the same page as you though. I can't imagine what you're dealing with right now, but your husband doesn't look like your ally. Yeah, I'm wondering how mother-in-law found the clinic. Even if she called every clinic in town and asked if grandson is a patient there, they wouldn't be allowed to tell her. So how did she find their doctor? Having worked in a hospital, I know that unless a patient was listed as no info or had agreed to a password, the facility could admit that an individual was a patient, but could go no further. I am sure the grandmother could call an office, give the boy's name and birth date, and most office staff would probably affirm that the child is or is not a patient. Then it is just a matter of pushing her way in. I'm a nurse in a medical office and I would never confirm a patient like this. I have no idea who is on the other end of the phone or if they are who they say they are. We have communication lists that are completed by patients listing who we can give info to. If you're not on that list, I don't discuss patient information, period. Your mother-in-law raised her child. Your son is yours to raise and protect. Your husband needs to get on board. I would file a restraining order. I'm sitting here with my sister, we're both in the medical field, and our jaws just hit the floor. Your mother-in-law has established a pervasive pattern of behavior that clearly cannot be stopped by standard methods. It's time to bring in the big guns. Make sure that your husband is on board with the restraining order. If he's not, I would go ahead and get one for yourself and your child. If you get one covering all three of you and your husband isn't on board, he could break it and invalidate it for all of you. NTA. People who say it was only the child's grandparent clearly have no understanding of HIPAA. It doesn't matter that she isn't a stranger, she has no right to your child's medical information unless you or your child want her to know. Yes, she is probably scared, but what she is doing is causing stress and confusion where it isn't needed. I think the rest of the family need to hear what happened and the problem she has caused from you. Exactly. They kept berating me saying this is his grandmother. But what she's done was awful. No one has to deal with her temper tantrum and lack of respect, so they keep lashing out without even realizing the damage she's caused. To be honest, if you can, I'd go to my parents and tell hubby I'll be back when he can act like a man instead of a mommy's boy. What she's doing is dangerous, offering prescriptions a friend prescribed without seeing your son. I think that was illegal as hell too. Go mama bear on them. Show them your claws and tell them all that if they don't back off they won't be seeing you or your son again. Yes. Thank you. They're saying I'm just being bitter and overreacting. It's like they have no issue with her doing all these things and think she has a right because she's the grandmother. I'm considering going very low contact with everyone who won't show any support, knowing that I'm dealing with so much and they won't even help. But you don't have a right because you are his mother? WTF. Shut this down. NTA. Go no contact with anyone who is saying what she did is okay. Those people will report anything you say back to her. You are completely correct. You cannot trust the extended family to back you up. They need very low contact, if at all. Based on what original post has said, I'm not certain she can rely on her husband to do low contact, for that matter. Do you have a family group chat or maybe the email addresses of everybody? You could write something like this: Hello everybody, I am sorry to write this but I feel like I am out of options. I do not know what Mill told you but she is not helping our son. She tries to give our son medication that a friend of her prescribed without ever seeing our son. This is not only extremely dangerous and could cost him his life in a worst-case scenario but also illegal. She throws tantrums like a 3-year-old in public when we do not do what she wants. You and the doctor are enabling this and making it worse. Could you really forgive yourselves if something happened to our son because of Mill's behavior and you supporting her, because we would not forgive you? Our main focus has to be our son, not her. We want her to be in our son's life but we cannot tolerate this behavior. We have tried to tell her to back off and let us do our jobs as parents but she is trying to make this about her. If she really cared she would respect this instead of hindering his progress. Please help us by making her understand that if you point out that they are enabling her dangerous and illegal behavior they might finally get it. Do not leave her alone with your son. Ever. Exactly. They kept berating me saying this is his grandmother. But what she's done was awful. No one has to deal with her temper tantrum and lack of respect so they keep lashing out without even realizing the damage she's caused. Info: Are you taking proper medical care of your child? I hope you're not putting him through some naturopathy/homeopathy rubbish and then coming and complaining on Reddit that your Mill is trying to stop you. Please respond and put our minds at ease, that you're a rational human being, who isn't harming your child because you believe some mystical crap. I'm struggling to understand why a grandmother would go out of her way to interfere in her grandson's wellness. Plus we are hearing only your side of the story. Asked so many times here in different forms, and original post, who responds to a lot of other things, never responds to this question in any form. Initially I thought that people were reading too much into her vagueness, but given that she actively avoids answering this question, I'm pretty much convinced that what we're dealing with here is a grandmother who wants her grandson treated by medical professionals, and a mother who wants her son to go the woo-woo crystals route. Being a grandparent is a privilege, not a right. Sounds like she hasn't earned that privilege. NTA. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.